Hi guys, so today I'm going to talk about the south rim of the Grand Canyon because I've been myself there 2 times already, and there's things that I learned along the way once I was there, and that made my second trip better than my first trip. So here are 5 things that you should know before visiting the south rim of the Grand Canyon. So my first tip for you guys, but one of the main tip I guess, is to sleep inside the Grand Canyon Park. So if you've never been there before, basically you have a little Grand Canyon village outside of the Grand Canyon Park, and then you drive maybe 5 minutes to the entry of the Grand Canyon Park. It's where you show your ID or you pay, and then again 5, maybe 10 minutes to the actual rim of the Grand Canyon. So the thing is that hotel can be either in the Grand Canyon Village, so outside of the park, or inside the park. So inside the park is more expensive, but if you have the money to do it, I will suggest that you do it. It's just a lot better, not only because you don't have in the morning, especially if you want to hike, I will suggest in one of my other tips to hike early. You don't really want in the morning to wake up and have to drive all the way to the Grand Canyon, have to go through the Grand Canyon Pass area where you have to show your ID, because in the mornings there's probably going to be a lot of people, so you don't want to wait in line for like an hour, or I don't know how long it is because I've always been inside the park. But I feel like it's probably a lot because a lot of people come in the morning because there is a lot of hotel outside of the park, because most of the times they're a little cheaper. So I would suggest to live inside the park, so in the morning you don't have to worry about that. You just hop, either walk or take the bus to wherever you want to go, to what hike you want to go. Also, it's a lot cuter inside. There's so many trees, you can walk around. Outside of the park, it's more like a little kind of tiny city. So you have a big road, and on each side you have hotels, and it's not very pretty or cute. So inside it's a lot better. So if you want something a little cuter inside and easier to go to the hike, especially in the morning, or coming back to, from watching the sunset, just straight back to the hotel and don't have to drive again outside and wait in line until everyone is leaving the park. It's a little more hustle. So if you're money related, that's more what you're looking at. Maybe outside is cheaper, but otherwise it's better to stay inside the park. So another tip is to choose the right season of when you want to go to the south rim of the Grand Canyon, just because, especially if you want to hike, if you just walk on the rim, I guess it doesn't matter as much, but if you want to hike down, you don't want to go in the really hot summer month where hiking is just going to be so more difficult, more dangerous, and just really exhausting and not as relaxing and as fun as it should be. So make sure you call, look on their website and see when are the best months to go. You want some nice weather, but you don't want to be too hot. I went in August and it was really hot still. So I would just try to look around and see if you can come during a month that is not as hot and makes your experience as a hiking will be a lot more enjoyable. Another tip is to be an early bird. It's really important if you want to hike, first off, because again of the weather. It can get really hot in the Grand Canyon, and you don't want to put yourself or your family in danger by going in the middle of the day when it's really hot and you can get dehydrated a lot more easily. So try to go really early in the morning when the sun starts shining, so 6-7 a.m. Go to hike, and it's just going to be so much easier for everyone because it's going to be cooler. Usually there's a little less people, and you will be able to see more the landscape. I feel like when the sun is really shining, sometimes it's kind of harder to see the landscape because it's just in your eyes. And the most thing is you're going to be not as dehydrated, because when it gets really hot and you're hiking, you get dehydrated so easily, so quickly, and it can be really dangerous. I brought a bunch of water, and I guess not enough, because when I was hiking, and we hiked maybe, I'm not sure, 3 hours maybe, 4 max, and I got really dehydrated. On the way back up, I was suffering. I thought I was not going to make it, and it's dangerous. It's not healthy, it's not good, and you don't want to go there, so try to go in the morning. Another tip that I have is to try to hike faster when you go down and then slower when you go up. I know when you start hiking, especially the first time on the first trail, you go down and you take your time and you take pictures and you take videos and you sit down and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. I'm just going to stay here for 20 minutes looking at the landscape. I would say no. Try to, especially if you know where you want to go and you want to go pretty far, I'll say try to go. No, you don't have to walk super fast, but try not to take too many breaks and try not to walk too slow on the way down. especially because if you go in the morning, the thing of going in the morning is that it's cooler. So if you take 2 hours going down because you take so many breaks, so many pictures, and then on the way back up the sun is already shining out on you, you're going to have a hard time. So I'll say try to go on the normal pace all the way down or wherever you want to go. And on the way back up, I'm telling you, you're going to be tired, you're going to walk slow, you're going to take a lot of breaks to be able to go back up, especially if you're like me and you don't hike stuff like that often. Then you will have time then to just look at the landscape, relax, take pictures. Okay, my last final point of thing you should know before visiting South Rim of the Grand Canyon, and for me which is one of the most important, is to not limit yourself at the bus stop, at the tourist areas. One, just because, I mean, some of these tourist areas are tourist. People like to be there and they are fenced in because it's a really special view. But there's so many more beautiful views that are not touristic, and it's so much better because you don't have the fence in your view. You don't, if you want to take picture, even just for yourself looking at the landscape, when there's like human stuff next to it, it doesn't look as magnificent, I guess. And when there's a lot of people, you don't enjoy it as much, it's not as relaxing. One cool thing about the Grand Canyon is like you literally can sit there, look at this giant thing, and it's so peaceful. You don't really hear much except some birds, maybe some the wind like cracking through the leaves, but that you don't really hear much, which is really cool. It's so peaceful. But if you're in a tourist area and everyone is taking pictures, yelling, it's not, you can't really enjoy that. So usually what we did is to get out of the bus stop, so where the tourists are, and then start walking next to the rim for like a long time, and you'll see no one. Literally, when we walked there, we could see no one. We walked into like deers and stuff like that because no one else was there. Of course, you need to be careful, especially if you have children, you know, because then if it's not fenced, it's a lot more dangerous. So if you have children, maybe it's a little different, be more careful. But just do it if you want to really experience the Grand Canyon, if you really want to be by yourself looking at the landscape. When we walk away, not even very long, you have the bus stop there, we walk 5 minutes away from it, and already there is like no one there. And it's just so much more enjoyable. You can just sit there, enjoy the actual nature of things, and it's just so much more, such a better experience. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video and these 5 tips about visiting the Grand Canyon. If you did, make sure to leave it a like and let me know in the comments if there is other videos like this you would like to see. I'll see you next time. Bye!